Karen calls my disabled sister the R word and gets embarrassed when my sister responds back to her. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell for notifications. So, some backstory. My younger sister has cerebral palsy. It doesn't affect her brain in the slightest, but it does make it hard for her to speak and confine her to a wheelchair, unless she's being carried by someone. Because cerebral palsy is a neuromuscular condition, it means she is to be carried by somebody strong enough to cope with her erratic and involuntary movements. Hence why a member of staff or her friend couldn't go with her instead of me. Because of all these years of carrying her, I'm pretty muscly. I was also a naturally curvy 14-year-old girl at the time. Important later. For our cast, we have Karen. Entitled kids will be things 1 and 2. We'll call my sister Joy. Her friend will be Amy. Then my grandparents, as well as server lady and me. So I believe this incident occurred about 1.5 years ago when my sister was 9. We were at a local soft play center with my sister's BFF and my grandparents, celebrating my sister's birthday. Like any 9-year-old, she was so excited at the chance to play in the soft play. Even more so because they're often not even vaguely accessible, and they refuse to make exceptions for me to go in too, which I understand but do wish was different. On this occasion, however, we did our research, called ahead, and found a lovely place that was happy to let me go in with Joy and Amy. Amy, by the way, is the sweetest girl I've ever met, and is happy to make sacrifices in order for Joy to have a good time, even though we always let her know she doesn't have to, and was perfectly fine with me coming in with them. We've been in the soft play area for about 15 minutes when Amy and Joy got thirsty. So I did the whole thing, lifted Joy out of the ball pit, and we headed over to the cafe and seating area to grab some juice. We were about halfway back to the soft play area. I was carrying Joy and Amy was walking next to us chatting with her when we heard it. This is a slightly abbreviated version of the conversation that ensued.
I'm very sorry, ma'am, but your children are above the height limit for this soft play.
Why? We came here to play. I have work to do. It'll keep them occupied.
I know, but they're a danger to the other children playing here, and our age limit is 10 years.
Aha! Thing 2 is 10.
Maybe so, but he still exceeds the height limit at this establishment. I'm sorry, but we're not going to let you in.
Me and the kiddos were still headed towards the soft play when I feel a tap on my shoulder. By this point, the staff have changed over, and obviously the lady who let us in and knew the situation had forgotten to tell the people on the next shift about Joy.
I'm sorry, you're too tall to go in.
I explained the situation and gestured to my visibly disabled sister.
Oh, okay. Clearly my coworker forgot to mention that. No problem. Have a nice day.
She proceeded to walk away, and Karen walked over at this point and pointed accusingly at me. You're too old to go in. I know, but my sister here needs me to go in with her because she can't walk and the wheelchair won't fit. Joy made a noise of assent. Well, she shouldn't be here then. If she can't go round on her own, she shouldn't go in at all. Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. At this point, Thing 1 decided to chime in. Our words can't go in, sorry. What did you just call her? Server lady rushes back over.
Oh, dear, is there a problem?
This boy just called my sister an R word. Well, he's very upset about being the exception to the rule. If this girl can go in, why can't he?
Is his younger sibling physically disabled?
No, he's fine though. And this girl's more likely to hurt the little kids than my boys.
How so?
Well, not to be rude, but look at her. Karen gestures at me up and down. Server lady looks unimpressed.
I'm looking.
Well, she's not exactly lightweight, is she?
First off, she's not even fat. Second, your son called her sister an inexcusable name. Third, my daughter has cerebral palsy and is purely physical. This girl understands everything you're saying about her and her sister.
At this point, Joy said very slowly, I do. Karen looks a little shocked at this. Look at the girl. She's drooling everywhere. You can't possibly think that's hygienic.
It's no more hygienic than letting a baby in.
She turns to Joy and says,
No offense meant.
Joy again responds slowly, none taken. Whatever. I hope you know that this rule-bending establishment will not be getting any more of our business. Karen turned tail and stalked out. We never saw her again, thank God. The server lady apologized and gave us all a free slush puppy, which made the girls extremely happy and my grandparents freak out. I'm happy to say that Joy and Amy had a wonderful rest of the day, and so did I. I wish I could say Karen was arrested, or that it didn't hurt Joy's feelings at the time, but she wasn't and it did. Such is life. It didn't spoil the day though, and I hope her kid wakes up one day with cerebral palsy and finds out how it is to be an R-word. There's always one in this kind of place, right? That they don't understand how to play well with others but go to a public play area. There are gonna be other people there and you're gonna have to act like a decent human being. Apparently, that's a little bit too much to ask from our Karen though. While I understand being initially upset at the situation, you must come to realize that there's a reason they're making this exception. You can be disappointed all you want in the situation with your kids, but you should be happy that this little girl is getting a chance to even play. You're already upset about your situation. Why does her happiness make you more upset? That's really kinda low, don't you think? That this little 9-year-old girl with cerebral palsy being happy on her birthday makes you angry? What does that really say about the kind of person you are? I'm just glad it didn't completely ruin this little girl's birthday and she managed to still enjoy her day. Sounds like she's got a really great friend too. So I wish them all the best and don't let people like this get to you. Unfortunately, there's always going to be stupid people in the world. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below. And if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out easymode, also linked below. And don't forget to subscribe. I yelled at my wife for being obsessed with her new video game. My wife, female 33, is a big nerd, which I normally appreciate, but she's taking things way too far today. She took today off of work so she could be up at 4 a.m. to play her online game at launch. I didn't wake up until about an hour ago, 10:30, and she was still playing. I mentioned that I was hungry, hoping that we could make some breakfast together, which we like to do. She said instead that I should order us something from DoorDash since she was in the middle of a dungeon and may be a while. I didn't really want to get takeout because we had already discussed ordering pizza tonight for dinner, and that's a lot of takeout food in one day. I calmly explained this, and she got ticked off and shrieked at me that she just wanted one weekend to focus on her video game. I said that it was unfair to our family for her to isolate all weekend, and she got even more mad, telling me that I have 2 hands and can feed the cat. I was in tears at that point, and I did raise my voice and said that I was worried she was obsessed with this game and maybe she needs professional help. She threw her car keys at me and said that I need to get out of her face, that she works all the time and doesn't ask for much, and I need to leave her be and get out of her face for a few hours. I'm truly concerned that she's become obsessed with this online game, and I'm hoping that maybe reading this thread will wake her up to it, but I might have been the jerk too. I'll be honest, I really don't see what the big deal is. This isn't an obsession. This is something that has only been out for a few hours and she's really excited about. What's the big deal if she wants to spend the next couple days playing the game that she's been so looking forward to? I could understand if there were kids involved or something, but as far as I can tell, it's just a cat. And yeah, if our original poster really wants breakfast, they can make it for themselves. What's the big deal? Just let her enjoy this weekend. I think typically we hear about this story being the other way around, where it's the boyfriend or husband who just wants to play video games. But it's all the time. This is something that just came out at 4 a.m. this morning. Let her enjoy it for a bit. Landlord tries to scam me out of giving me back my deposit, so I sue him for 10 times the amount. So about 10 years ago, my husband and I were renting a house while we tried to buy a place. The landlord seemed so nice, and it was a great situation. When we found a place to buy, we gave him our forwarding information along with the keys. It took about 2 months to get our deposit back, and we were shocked to say the least. He had taken $400 out. He had an enclosed porch that had screens with no glass. It had outdoor carpeting that was just gross, and we bought bought a remnant to cover the carpet since we had little kids and it was questionable. It wasn't ideal, but it was a rental. When we left, we rolled up the carpet and threw it out. Anyway, the landlord stated in his letter that he was taking the $400 out because we had broken the lease by having a dog, and his proof was the condition of that carpet. We did not have a dog, and that carpet was gross when we got there. We tried to explain that, but he was having none of it and would ignore our attempts to reach out. Plus, how do you prove the absence of something? Cue the malicious compliance. You want to follow the lease so carefully as to make up animals? Well, perhaps you should read the laws a little better. According to our state, landlords have exactly 1 month to send the deposit back. He took 2. According to the law, you can be held liable for 3 times the amount. $1,800 in our case. So we sued. We no longer wanted the $400 back. We wanted $5,400. While it was somewhat painful, he dodged attempts to serve him and he had out-of-state attorney friends try to intimidate us. He eventually had to hire an attorney, and we settled on $2,000, in addition to the $1,400 we got back. We filed with the help of a friend, so we didn't owe an attorney, just filing fees. He ended up paying $2,000 plus attorney fees instead of our $400 for a phantom dog. Know your rights as tenants, folks. Yeah, this guy was probably well aware that that carpet was disgusting when you guys moved in, and just wanted an excuse to not have to give you some money back. Who knows, maybe he needed it for something else. But either way, that doesn't mean you scam your tenants out of their deposit. Clearly, it didn't work out so well for him since he ended up having to pay way more in return. I don't know what makes people think that they can get away with this kind of stuff, and that their tenants are just gonna roll over and take it. I'm glad our original poster didn't, and like they said, you guys gotta know your rights. Don't let people take advantage of you like this, 'cause trust me, there are those that will try. I lost one of my oldest friends over a well-done steak. So we did a bit of an extravagant Friendsgiving this year as I lucked into a strip loin of A5 Wagyu for a price that was unorthodox levels of cheap. My friend works for a high-end meat distributor and received it as a gift. It was a tight-knit event with only 10 of us there, mostly couples including my friend who only started dating a girl within the last couple months. We had an array of dishes, but I was responsible for cooking the meat. Steak is about the closest thing I have to a religion, and I take it very seriously. The average steak for me takes about 4 to 5 hours from preparation to the time it's on the plate, though sometimes I take as much as 3 to 4 months butter aging or dry aging my meats to be certain that they're perfect. These were genuine A5, so I only sous vide them after cutting them into 2-inch steaks. There was pretty perfectly enough for 1 each. But I also made jerk chicken, mandarin duck breast, and a nice cut-off cherry jalapeno salmon. I had quite the spread. I sous vide them to medium rare to be sure the fat was well rendered, but informed them that if absolutely necessary, I'd bring them up to medium on request. Well, here comes the new girl to the group. She sees the first person cut into their steak and sees pink, and she is just mortified. Immediately she acts like he's eating raw meat, and stresses that the steak should be brown all the way through or else you'll get sick. I informed her that this wasn't the case, and that these steaks were actually cooked to the ideal temperature for the cut. She immediately demanded that I cook hers till it was brown all the way through, and I firmly said, not a chance. She proceeded to get angry and yell that it was her steak and she should have it how she liked. I told her that there were plenty of other meats to choose from as well as a plethora of side dishes that she could have, but her steak was not going to be made well done in my house. She called me a jerk. Then she got up and started to stick the steak in the microwave. I shot up and grabbed it out of her hand first, at which point half the steak fell onto the ground. My dogs quickly got to it, to which I said, well, at least it went to someone who wouldn't crap on a good steak. From there was definitely tension from that end of the table. They ate a little bit, then hurriedly left. Since then, my longtime friend and his new girlfriend have blocked me on social media and my phone number. They've even gone so far as to block the rest of the people at the table and cut off all ties. Yesterday, I received a PayPal invoice from my old friend for $25 that just said, pay for dry cleaning of her dress. dress. I don't think anything actually spilled on her. I think it's just more drama. But as of now, I'm ignoring it, and unfortunately, probably washing my hands clean of an old friend. Am I the jerk here? Well, you are being a little bit pretentious about the steak. If she wants it well done, then let her have it well done, but I also see where you're coming from. That this kind of thing doesn't come along every day, and there is a certain way it's supposed to be prepared. Sure, it may not be something that she's used to, but that doesn't mean that it's the wrong way to do it. I totally understand having an expensive cut of meat like this that you don't want it to go to waste. However, this is your good friend's new girlfriend and a guest in your home. You can sit there and try and argue with her, but I just don't think it's worth it. And I really don't think losing the whole friendship was worth it. Who knows exactly how it went down after they left, but there was obviously a conversation. I don't know, but it sounds like your friend's being manipulated by this girl just a little bit. Completely cutting you off over something like this, let alone everyone else who was at the table, is a little bit of an overreaction. If you guys are such good old friends, there should be a conversation between you two as well, not just him and her. There was no opportunity for a resolution to be made, and I think that's the real tragedy here. Our company is insisting we have to work on Christmas Eve, but we'll just have our Christmas party instead. December 24th and 31st have always been a non-working day in our country, but just this year, our president announced that it will be a special working holiday, so it's still up to the company if they will have us work that day or not. When our company announced that we will have a full work day on the 24th, the employees weren't happy. We haven't had to work that day since before our oldest employee in the company even started, who'd been working with the company for more than 40 years already, and most employees already had plans set up for that day. After back and forth meetings with the union, the company finally gave in and agreed to only have a half day of work on the 24th. Employees are still not happy, but we took that as a win. But we did have something in mind for that day. Each department in our company can choose any day in December to celebrate their Christmas party. The party can last half a workday, and the employees will still be compensated as long as the party is held in the office. So, today's the 24th and we'll all have our Christmas party. As agreed, department Christmas parties are company time, so it'll still be credited to us as work. Merry Christmas! Yeah, I mean, no one really wants to work on Christmas Eve, do they? And it kinda sucks that this is something that is just coming around and has never been an issue before. But at the same time, depending on what kind of work you're in, that's something you just gotta deal with. Try working retail, where you absolutely have to be there. Because you know there are people that are just showing up on Christmas Eve to get their gifts. You're literally there 364 days a year. The only exception is Christmas Day itself, keeping in mind this is in a major mall or something. All I'm saying is you guys got to enjoy it this time, but be ready for that to be the norm going forward. Sad to say, a lot of companies don't really care, and if they have the option to make you work that day, you're gonna have to. We all want to spend that time at home. And if you're able to, then that's great. But if you can't, that's just the way it is sometimes. Entitled mother leaves her babies at the library, then yells at us when she can't find them. I used to work in a library. One afternoon, we had a woman come in and approach the desk, looking somewhat frazzled. She asked if we'd seen her babies, who'd she left there a couple hours previously. None of us had and said so. Of course, this set her off. How could we be so careless when we knew there were kids here? Why wasn't someone keeping an eye on them? Etc., etc. The noise drew the manager from her office, and she told the woman that the sign out front says library, not daycare. So, of course, this woman goes and calls the police. On us for neglecting the kids that she left there. Once the police arrive and start trying to figure things out, they called the woman's house. Turns out her babies were 14 and 16 and had gotten tired of waiting for mom to come pick them up and decided to walk home. I don't remember what happened from there, but I also don't remember ever seeing her again. Yeah, you can't really get mad at the employees for you being neglectful. I mean, I have to assume this was quite a few years ago since the original poster can't remember the story correctly and apparently no one had a cell phone. But still, 14 and 16 is old enough to be responsible for themselves and get home from school. Especially when mom's over 2 hours late doing whatever. Like, if you're gonna escalate things and call the police, do it because the kids are missing, not because the employees at the library weren't keeping a proper eye on them. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out Easy Mode. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.